Yes, how effective are President Biden's sanctions on Israeli settlers accused of violence in the West Bank?
I think it's clearly a political gambit for 2024 for Mr. Biden. It looks rather anemic. There are four settlers who will be banned from commercial transactions or entering the United States. They probably never had any intent to come here anyway. And the reason why it looks anemic is as we see the grisliness in Gaza, which, at least as a preliminary matter, the International Court of Justice has suggested is a genocide because you're creating conditions of life calculated to physically destroy a people in whole or in part. If you don't have any food or water or medicine, you're not likely to live long. And there's nothing that the president did to suggest anything's changing with regard to Gaza on the ground. Now, it's also important to note that Israel is the one that has authority over these four West Bank individuals to prosecute them if they are engaged in criminal activity, which is what Mr. Biden's executive order declared.
Right, Bruce.
But Mr. Biden has not said that if Israel lets these settlers free with impunity, that there'll be any sanctions or any withholding of aid.
Yeah.
So I think this is a very, very weak indication. And we just know that Mr. Biden was out in Detroit trying to rally some of Palestinian Americans behind his 2024 bid. I'm not saying that's unique to Mr. Biden. All candidates in an election year care only about one thing.
Okay, Bruce, let's move to the next issue here, because Secretary of State Antony Blinken also said the U.S. will take action to advance the viability of a two-state solution and, the dignity of Israelis and Palestinians alike. How long would this take, to become a reality?
No, he stated, this is not the first time he stated that. And Mr. Netanyahu, the prime minister, has stated repeatedly, that's dead on arrival. There's not going to be any Palestinian governing authority in Gaza after Israel so-called completes victory. So he can say all that he wants to do. The fact is that Israel in its politics would never agree to a two-state solution unless they confronted some kind of enormous international sanctions at the UN Security Council, which is an institution that does have authority to impose universal global sanctions. But the United States has already shown with its unilateral veto power that it will protect Israel the same way it has ever since October 7th diplomatically. So this is just a pipe dream. I think Mr. Blinken is saying that. Again, it's rhetoric that does some use in the 2024 campaign, but otherwise this is nothing new. And no more new than the sun rising in the east and setting in the west.
We know this has really been a contentious issue. It has polarized a lot of nations, depending on which side of, fence you're looking at this issue. But does this signal a shift in the U.S. policy towards Palestine?
No, it's not a shift. We've had that position for decades. If Israel doesn't agree, there's no nation on the world that says we are going to attack Israel and impose a two-state solution. Israel right now is adamantly opposed to a two-state solution. It's not going to happen unless and until, the United States decides that it's willing actually to risk alienation of Israel and demand a two-state solution by military means or economic boycotts, that it has a ghost of a chance of survival. And I can repeat over and over again, for every time Mr. Blinken has said we're in favor of a two-state solution, Mr. Netanyahu has said it's not going anywhere. And Israel is the one that's the decider here, because right now they're the ones who occupy the land that would be part of the two-state solution.
Oh, wow, Bruce. Looks like we're far off to get this
over.
over.
You are very far off. And I say this not in any glee, but we need to be earthbound here. And don't get away in thinking these politicians, just by uttering fanciful statements, think there's any progress. There's not. This is a two-state solution has been on the table for decades. Hasn't gotten past first base, even maybe not even past home plate.